Setting aside cosmic politics, the trillion-dollar economy and military supremacy of this earthly world hinge on a maritime corridor, barely 1.5 miles wide, tucked away in a corner of the Indian Ocean. The fuel and raw materials required for the smartphones we use daily, the cars we drive to work, and the air-conditioned comfort we enjoy.
If this waterway were to be completely blocked for just 7 days, all of Asia would grind to a halt. China's trillion-dollar manufacturing factories would shut down, and the world's largest megacities would instantly be plunged into pitch darkness as the global supply chain came to a standstill. Welcome to the Strait of Malacca. Geographically, it is a narrow stretch of water, situated between the Indonesian island of Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula. However, in geopolitical terms, this represents the greatest geopolitical nightmare that keeps Chinese President Xi Jinping up at night, and for the Pentagon, a perfect trap to bring Beijing to its knees in an instant. In geopolitical discourse, this is also known as the Malacca Trap. Every day, approximately 1/4 of the world's total maritime trade passes through this narrow strait. In terms of numbers, more than 5,000 large ships use this route annually. However, the key player in this entire scenario is the world's second largest economic superpower, China. They are currently moving towards the forefront. Today, China is the world's manufacturing hub. Everything from needles to rockets is produced there. However, to sustain this massive manufacturing operation, China requires millions of barrels of crude oil and natural gas. And the primary source of this power for China is the Middle East and Africa. Now, if an oil tanker from the Middle East wishes to reach China, the only viable natural route available to it is the Strait of Malacca. About 80% of the fuel oil China imports annually must pass through this narrow, 800-kilometer-long channel. This route serves as a vital economic lifeline for China. According to geopolitical analysts, this is also a key strategic vulnerability for the country. Unlike the United States, China does not possess vast domestic oil reserves and relies entirely on imports. If the Strait of Malacca were to close for any reason, China could sustain itself for a maximum of 45 to 60 days using its domestic petroleum reserves. After that, all of China's factories would shut down, its power generation system would collapse, and the wheels of the nation would come to a complete standstill. America has turned this very vulnerability into its greatest choke point, or a weapon to strangle China. Pentagon military strategists are well aware that if a direct war were ever to break out with China over Taiwan or the South China Sea, defeating China on its own home turf would be extremely difficult. This is because their own missile defense system near the Chinese mainland is extremely powerful. Therefore, the U.S. wants to draw the conflict away from China's home turf and into this deep trap in the Indian Ocean.